Our next game, the big game of the weekend, Iowa at Ohio State. Both of these teams are coming off of a bye week, so they're both rested up. They're going to have spectacular games. This is the 66th meeting between these two teams. So this one goes way back. It's an old matchup without a rivalry. Ohio State leads the series 47-15-3. That is 3-1, folks. Ohio State is favored by 29 points.
You have to reread that. What?
29 points. This is not going to be a game. This is going to be a bloodbath. 29 points. Goodness gracious. Apparently the odds makers don't think a week off is going to help Iowa. It looks like Iowa is going to lose 3 in a row, getting the 1-2 punch from Michigan and Ohio State. Looking at the stats, Iowa is practically an FCS team compared to Ohio State. I think the best thing they can hope for is to come out of this game without any season-ending injuries. What are you expecting from this game? From Iowa?
Doom. Doom and gloom. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything from Iowa, at least definitely not on offense. Can you even remember like the last time a offense was this bad? Like you watched a team relatively regularly that had an offense this bad? I can't.
No.
I can't think of anything.
I mean, like you pointed out, their first couple of games with their offense didn't even score. It was all defense, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've been outscored by their own defense twice.
That's just crazy. I mean, it should be that the defense scoring is an exception to the rule that hardly ever happens.
Not in Iowa.
But not in Iowa.
That's how they're coached. Little do you know, that's probably actually how they're coached. And this year is just an experimental year with like a scoring defense.
I know how we can win.
Like,
let the defense score. That'll fake them all out.
And then as soon as Spencer Petras is gone, they're like, okay, we can play offense again.
Yeah.
No offense,
it's not
buddy.
working, Kirk. It's not working.
No offense meant to Spencer Petras. We all know you're doing your best. You deserve better. Yeah, they've been outscored by their own defense twice this year. They actually have a scoring drive against Illinois in which they netted negative yards. They went backwards and still scored.
Yep.
So there's that. In any case, I mean, it was a field goal, but whatever. I think their defense will probably put up a fight for a little bit, though. I mean, CJ Stroud has a couple of interceptions on the year, and, you know, I could see Iowa's defense taking advantage of that. You know, maybe they get a pick six even, but I think that's the only way they score. I don't think the offense is going to do anything in this game. And I say that even with like some current concerns of Ohio State's defense too.
Yeah. I mean, Iowa is 3-3, so they're not laying down like Northwestern, but
yeah,
still there's just not much there.
No.
On the other side of the equation, we have the always dominant Ohio State. CJ Stroud is unstoppable. Ohio State is unstoppable. Ryan Day is unstoppable. As Ohio State steamrolls along, every team is trying to find their weakness. I don't know what it is. I have a clue as to what it might be, but I don't know. What have you found?
I personally think it's their defense. I mean, if you can really call it a weakness, I just don't think that it's been like fully exploited yet. So I think their defense is yet to face like a truly high-powered offense just yet. So they've allowed 3 or more scores against vastly inferior teams. And I mentioned before in a prior preview that we did that Toledo burned Ohio State's secondary, I think on a couple of different occasions. Yeah. And then Wisconsin was actually able to average, get this, Wisconsin was able to average 5.5 yards per carry. So they actually established something of a run game. They got almost 200 yards rushing against the Buckeyes as well.
Yeah.
So they actually, they established a sort of run game and they still got blown out. So there's also the fact that CJ Stroud averages an interception per game at this point, and the last one that he threw went for 6. So Ohio State's offense is one of those offenses that, yeah, they're extremely powerful, but they're also kind of volatile. So they're trained. This is the allegory, right? This is the allegory that I came up with, is that they're a train that's moving at Mach 10 and destroying everything in their path, but could eventually blow an engine and come crashing down as well.
Ah. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Took me a very long time to think of that.
So so what you're saying about that interception, then they've got that dominating offense, but there is that, it's kind of, okay, I know what I'm thinking of. It's like the dragon in The Hobbit. It's got the armor all over except for the one spot where there's the one hole in the armor, and if you can hit that spot, you can do some damage.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily know yet if that's like making sure that you pressure Stroud, because he can also just take off running.
Yeah, so, if you can get to him.
If you can get to him, yeah. So maybe there's something in the offensive line. My thing is, though, is Michigan's probably got the best chance out of anybody to beat Ohio State this year, because Michigan controls games, and I think that's probably the chink in Ohio State's armor, is that they actually move too fast.
Yeah. If you look at, so Ohio State's schedule now is Iowa, and then Penn State, Northwestern, Indiana, Maryland. I don't see them having any trouble with any of those teams. Penn State might slow them down a little bit. Maryland might slow them down a little bit. I didn't check the current FPI on it, but I think Michigan is the only one that even has a chance of thinking they can win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny because you say, well, no, they're going to have an easy schedule going through November. But that's only because it's Ohio State.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're right, but that's also because they haven't, I mean, dare I say this as a Michigan fan, they haven't played anybody. I mean, Wisconsin's.
Yeah, right. So Notre Dame is, I'm not even sure what's happened to Notre Dame now, but that was their biggest game, because after that you've got your non-conference games: Wisconsin, Rutgers, Michigan State. All of these teams fell apart. They scored 52 on Wisconsin, 49 on Rutgers, 49 on Michigan State. They're probably going to destroy Iowa. Penn State, I would imagine they're going to put a good 35 points, 35, 42 points on Penn State. Northwestern, they're just going to obliterate.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State gave them a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because at that point, it's Penn State's backs against the wall. James Franklin just got that huge new contract. Maybe he wants to prove himself. I don't know. I think that there are a lot of different emotions that are going to go into that game for Penn State. And I also think that even though Penn State just got blown out against Michigan, that Penn State's still going to be the first quality team, like truly quality team, that Ohio State has played all year.
Yeah.
So,
well, we saw against Michigan. I mean, Penn State held Michigan to the wall there for the first half. I mean, I agree. I think that the Michigan controlled, in retrospect, Michigan controlled 55 minutes of a 60-minute game.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, going into the half, it was what, 17-14?
16-14 Michigan.
16-14.
Yeah.
So they kept it close through the first half. But then obviously they only got the field goal at the beginning of the second, and then it was all over.
So yeah, I guess there's something to that then. Like, yeah, Penn State's red zone defense is pretty good. I mean, I know a lot of people want to say that Michigan's red zone offense is really bad right now. Maybe there's a little bit of that. Maybe it's also the fact that Penn State still, tried in the first half. Yeah. But once Michigan figured out something in the second half, the game was over.
Right.
So yeah, that's something that we have to remember, is that, there are two teams on the field, and one of them, even though they got blown out, was still pretty good. Yeah. And just because they got blown out doesn't mean that they're not good. It just means they had an extraordinarily bad half of football, or maybe that the other team is also really good. Who knows?
Right. The Team Rivalry Top Secret Score Predictor has this one as a massive blowout, and I got to agree with it. Got Ohio State 60, Iowa 3. I think that's accurate.
You think that's accurate?
Yep.
All righty. Well, yeah, you're probably right. I'm just going to toss this up here real quick.
What do you got? I can't read it.
You can't read it?
No. Oh, there we go. Does that say 101?
No. All right. So the joke didn't work. It's you know who, infinity to LOL.
Oh. Infinity to LOL.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Maybe.
just toss that aside. Yeah. Here's my actual call though. I'm taking Ohio State
42-3. All right.
42-3. Yeah. I think Iowa's defense will get 1 or 2 stops, but that's it.